we spoke with fish welfare researcher Eliane Gonçalves de Freitas about the hidden welfare challenges fish face throughout the aquarium trade. Thank you so much, Eliane, for your time speaking with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
We're so grateful and honored that you're here because we both, Christiana and I, read your paper, and it's one of the few out there that's actually talking about how fish, like the concerns, the welfare concerns in this aquarium industry. So to start, we kind of want to talk about maybe zooming out and thinking about why is it that it's so difficult to see fish as sentient and to consider their welfare.
Well, I think probably it's because the fish morphology and behavior that is very different from ours, and mainly because of facial expression that is different. No, it doesn't mean that fish doesn't have some expression, because when they, for example, fish show their mood by changing color or by changing body color or changing the position of the fins, and also communicating by chemicals, for instance, that is in the water. So this kind of communication is so different for us when compared, for instance, with a mammal like a dog. You know, a dog is very appealing, and so dog has that face that we can communicate and most of the time understand what is happening with dogs. But it's different for fish because of this lack of expression, and also because I think fish don't scream when they are injured. And so people understand they don't feel pain or they don't feel anything. And so treat them like an animal without emotion. And it is the same when we see invertebrate, for instance, lobsters or other kind of invertebrate. We can't understand what they are feeling because they are different from us or from our kind of communication. Each other, you know. So I think it's because of this.
Yeah.
And so we need to popularize this kind of sentence, for instance, this kind of behavior, and like you are doing.
Yeah, I think because they're in totally different environments in the water, it's so difficult to even relate to them. And your paper, you talk about there is actually research that shows fish do experience pain. They have like the receptors to receive the information, send it to the brain. They respond to painful stimuli, adjust their behavior, right? So there's really a lack of awareness into that still.
Yeah, actually, one of the most critical thing in the fish welfare debate is how is the sentience, if they are sentient beings, in fact, and also regarding pain, if they feel pain. And what happened is there is a difference about nociception and pain. Nociception is a kind of when any animal are in face of a noxious stimuli, and then we just back up from the stimulus. Like if we touch a hot pan, so we immediately remove our hand from that stimuli because it's noxious. This is like a reflex, and people used to think that fish just feel noxious stimuli like this, nociception, like a reflex. But even when it happens to us, after we feel this pain with this noxious stimuli, then we think about, we analyze the situation, we understand from where the stimulus comes, and then we avoid touch the pen again. This is pain because this involves not only this reflex, this kind of a reflex, but action, an experience as an emotional experience, and then we avoid this source of pain. And so, actually, there is some scientists right now today that still question the ability of the fish ability to feel pain. But there are so many evidence about this. For instance, they can avoid places where they already suffer some noxious or some pain, where there are negative stimulus. And also there are research about the brain, the fish brain, showing that there are areas in the brain similar to mammals' cortex, for example, homologous to mammals' cortex, that is a layer outside of our brain, for instance, and it is responsible for integrate and interpret several information, including cognitive informations that generate cognitive actions. And then there are several studies showing that the brain, the fish brain, is also able to understand and integrate things, and also feel like pain, because it's difficult sometimes. We study the nervous system and see exactly what is happening there. But there are lots of evidence that fish can feel pain, not only, nociception. Mm-hmm. And we have a paper published recently about fish welfare. That is a review paper published in Fish Biology, and that we updated some information from another review paper that was published 20 years ago. And there is one topic in the paper, a very good topic about neurobiology of pain in fish, and I suggest you to read because it's very well written. It was written by an expert from Spain, Fernando Rodriguez. And so that's it. So still there is a debate, even among scientists sometimes. But my opinion is there is lots of evidence to show fish are sentient beings and they really feel pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why it's so important to be having these conversations, and because the fish keeping industry is so profitable and fish are such popular pets that we need to be thinking about this. And I know Christiana has some questions about your paper and the fish welfare risks in this industry. So I'll let Christiana ask those.
Yeah, you talk a lot about, as you were saying, how there's this understanding gap between how fish feel pain and what people understand fish feel pain. And you talk in your research about how that manifests in differences for fish trade welfare. You talk specifically about ornamental fish trade and how it's not as regulated as it would be for other pets and other animals. So I'd love to just talk to you a little bit more about how the fish you see in aquariums get there and what people don't see behind the scenes. So if I could have you talk a little bit about what some of the most serious welfare concerns there are that harm fish along the way, from captive or breeding to transport to retail and life in the aquarium. I'd just love to have you expand a little bit upon the welfare concerns that happen to fish in the ornamental fish trade.
Oh, okay. Yes, as you said, there are several steps in this ornamental trade, and I think everyone is very stressful for fish, especially for ornamental fish. Well, there is the first step is to get fish, and fish can be taken from the natural environment or from fish farms. And so fish farms is even a little better, but when fish is taken from the natural environment, it's so common here in Amazon. And so they firstly face the problem from manipulation, is like a predator manipulating them. And so this is actually stressful. And there is a barotrauma because they change from the pressure inside the water to the air, and then they go to so many times this is doing without any anesthetic or any substance that can calm fish. And so they go to holding facilities that is temporary. And it depends on the place. It could be good or not. Sometimes people just put several species in the same condition, and many times they need different different needs, because we talk about fish, but fish are different. There are several species and with different kinds of needings. And this must be observed during these temporary holding. And then fish transportation is maybe the most stressful problem, the most stressful way, because they can travel short distance, but they can travel from a country to another one, by flight. And so this depends. They can be in poor water because lots of fish will be in a bag. In this bag, fish are there, and urine and feces can harm the quality of water, and this is not good for fish too. And if the temperature increases, the oxygen pressure reduces, and then fish has less oxygen to breathe and to create energy. So and then fish is also under a mechanical stress because of the shaking of the bag. And many fish, and a great number of fish, I don't know how to say, but many really die during this transportation. Then they go to another, maybe temporary holding with retailers, and goes to an aquarium in private homes. And in private homes, we don't know, it depends on the owner. If the owner treats fish as a pet, it could be good. But if they treat fish as an ornament, like a flower, like a vase, so it probably will not treat fish well. And one problem is that it's a lack of information, probably. And another bad thing, I think, is that fish is cheap. So people prefer just to replace fish that died than take care and keep the fish for longer. And so what happens in the whole chain of the ornamental trade, there is what we call cumulative stress. And the cumulative stress can impair welfare, of course, but depending on the level of stress, they just died. And we don't have, there is a lack of legislation about how to treat fish in this condition. And there is another problem. There is the traceability. Many times people that get fish or buy a fish from a retailer, for example, they don't know from this whole way and how it happens, because they are not, marked. You cannot trace the whole way the fish passed from the beginning of getting until our homes, for example. And so this also makes it difficult to establish some legislation. In Brazil, we don't have legislation for this. We have for research, of course, but we don't have legislation for ornamental fish. And I think most of countries don't have this kind of legislation.
You have a really good figure in the paper. It's figure 1, and it shows each of the different phases. So like the farming or the capture, then the holding facilities, the transport, and then all of the welfare risks that are posed at each phase, which is so important for people to really think about, because we see the end phase, but the rest is pretty much hidden to us. There's not a lot of transparency on that.
Okay, yeah. I think this in this paper we really want to show up to resume this kind in that figure. I also like that figure. It was made by Caroline Maya. Yes, she created that, and I think it's kind of thing that is necessary not only in research papers, but when we simplify things for pet owners, for instance, or for people for retailers or pet shop owners, for instance, it's important to them to understand what happened with fish. So yeah, thank you for talk this about this figure. Mm-hmm. Our intention was really facilitate and understand.
Mm-hmm. And so, because you also talk about there's like nearly 6,000 species in this industry, right, in the aquarium hobby, and so obviously it's not like a one-size-fits-all approach to care guidance. I think, Christiana, you have a question a little bit about how difficult it is to find the right kind of guidance for fish, for each of these fish species.
Yeah, like Ariel just said, because it's all different for different fish, but they often get lumped in together. I would love to know, like, because of that, how you would advise people to get better guidance, or how you see a path forward and how people can help with that.
Well, there are available manuals, and that sometimes are good, sometimes are not. For instance, we need to take care because as manuals not even follow scientific knowledge. For example, we read here in our lab a manual that suggests changing 90% of water and replaced by 90% of aquarium for the species Pterophilus scalaris, that is a secret angelfish. The secret angelfish is popular in aquarium. And so they suggest that people during cleaning aquarium need to replace 90% of clean water. But we was testing the chemical communication in this species. And then we tested what happened when we changed the water, because they use chemical communication to set a social hierarchy. So they have dominance, they have subordinates, they fight each other, and then they became dominants and subordinates. So they use chemical communication to keep the hierarchy. And so when we change the water, so we just remove these signals, and then they start to fight again, and the aggressive behavior increase. And then we make a study, and then when we change 25%, they start to increase the aggressive behavior. But 1 hour or 2 hours after the manipulation, they was in they just recover to the normal fight. They fight a little bit. But when we changed 50%, they start to fighting and aggressive increase, and 24 hours after manipulation, they were still fighting in high levels, So the manual was suggesting to change 90% of the water, and then we found that that we have to change no more than 25%. Well, but to this information goes to the manual. We need professionals that translate these things from scientific papers to manuals or to guides, like you are doing. So, but science don't have any the whole question. Sometimes we don't have some answers in scientific papers. So I think people need to understand or need to study and understand the natural behavior of the fish and offer a good place for the fish. What can do it? Fish needs some space. They need some enrichment in the aquarium. They need shelter and adequate food, adequate temperature. So people that want to buy a fish, they need to first of all understand how is the behavior, how is the natural behavior of the fish they are intended to get, and then go and buy after.
Yeah. Yeah, the internet has so much like misleading information, and people will just repeat the same thing like their authorities. But as you're saying, there's kind of just a lack of scientific research backing some of this care guidance. In your paper, you do note maybe as a possible solution is to have like an international type of database that would be guidance for all of the species. Do you think that's something that's practical or worth researchers and scientists working on and working towards?
Yes, it could be a great thing. I don't know if it's possible. Actually, Carol Maia, that is one of the first author in this paper, she works in the fish ethical group. So they advocate for fish welfare, and they have a database for fish, but most are fish from commercial for food, non-ornamental. And so I think it could be a great project, but something people can introduce information, but based in scientific or secure information. And so it would be necessary someone to check this information. This is the problem, but I think it's possible. Mm-hmm. Well, but I think the other things we can do is make a huge, popularize and popularize this kind of association like yours or like other association in the world. Sometimes people doesn't know there is some guidance in the internet in places that are respectable, and the information there will be secure information.
Well, that touches on kind of the last question I wanted to ask, which is about sort of solutions, because we know there's so many problems. There's a variety of ways that fish suffer in this industry and so many like blind spots. What are some steps, or what do you think you'd like to see, like from researchers, fish keepers, stores? What kind of changes would you like to see them do now that could improve the state of fish welfare in this industry?
Well, I think the problem with animal welfare should be, first of all, debated in schools. because people need to understand. We just take care from what we understand. And I think this kind of thing could be debated and could be part of any content, uh, in any grade, during the school, elementary school. And this could be good because I really believe that education can change things. But in the industry, it's also education, education that really research needs to establish a connection with this trade. And this connection is important for scientists help people in this industry, but also know the industry and try to solve problems that they are there. But I think this kind of education started with showing that fish is like a dog, like a dog, like us. They feel things, they feel pain. We can't observe. It's different from us if they are happy or not. It's different to achieve it, but we are able to offer a better condition for fish. And I think this connection and this changes, this connection and this talking, this collaboration between universities and researchers and this industry is fundamental. Is critical for changing this scenario.
You also talk about just a simple change, which is not calling them ornamental fish, but calling them pets, because language is so powerful for how we perceive the world, and it can affect how we treat them. If we see them as pets, then they're part of the family, right? They're like a dog or a cat. It's a responsibility. It's not a decoration that goes on your wall. And those are like the education and just reframing how we look at them, I think is really, really important.
Yeah, this is our opinion. Was three authors in this paper, and actually we agree that if we call them as pet, if we consider fish as pet, so the responsibility is higher. So I think people can start to look to fish as really a pet and some animal that needs care. As an ornamental, I think it is like a vase or this kind of thing. So I think ornamental is something that you don't have responsibility of take care. So this is why we think changing these words. We are not the first one to call fish of pets, of course. But our suggestion is abandon the ornamental. It's difficult because it's so ornamental trade is so is so present in our society, for example. But maybe we can change for fish pet trend instead of ornamental change, and then make people more responsible, feel more responsible about the fish.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so
much. About the fish care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Eliane. And I think, this is so important. Fish are one of the most popular pets, and it might be a little uncomfortable for fish keepers to think about these things, but that's the only way that we can really make changes is if we become more aware of what these fish are actually facing through this industry. That's the only way we can actually make changes. So we're so grateful to have this time to talk to you. And I hope people read the article. It's going to be linked in the video description. And I hope that people continue to have more and more of these conversations about fish and their well-being, because it's so important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I thank you again for this opportunity to have this conversation. And I want to congratulate your association for this initiative and advocate mainly the subject that is better.
Mhm.
It's terrible to see them in cups, you know.
Yeah.
So thank you again, and hope we can chat other in other opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to hear from you and hear your expert advice here.
Oh, thank you, Christiana. Thank you, Ariel.